I've been playing RuneScape on and off, which I think is the case for most of us, for about 14 years now. I really enjoy making videos, and I love how people limit themselves in this game, like Bscape's GE Only, EasyScape's Desert Ironman, Skurai's Wilderness Ironman, and Bodhi's one-man series were my main inspirations, so definitely check them out. I had an idea that I posted on Reddit about 3 years ago, and I called it the Color Challenge. It was the rough copy of what I have now. It had cities of RuneScape sectioned off in different colors, and in order to progress to the next city, you had to complete certain challenges to advance. It was pretty basic, but it was fun, and I never really got around to finishing it. But the idea sat with me, and I continued to improve on it. So the best way to explain this without a super long intro is that I sectioned off different areas of the map as well as the game itself. I'm going to give you examples in a bit. I've placed invisible borders to cities as well as bosses. Each number represents what I will be doing for a set amount of time or kills. Because some areas lack a lot of content, I made shared borders, which are shown in red. I created this rule sheet to try and make it easier to see visually. I have the activities on the left such as areas, slayer, quests, bosses, player picks, community picks, and minigames. Pause the video to read through it. Quests split the alphabet into 3 groups, A through I, J through R, and S through Z. You just do one quest, and then you can choose another random number. Minigames are a minimum of 3 hours. I did this so that pest control would be available, or I could show you my sweet strats in Castle Wars. Player picks means that myself or whoever wants to try this challenge can choose any number they want. Community picks is up to you guys, so you gotta comment something ridiculous for me to do, and I'll do it for 10 hours, but try and be reasonable. Finally, there's the sectioned off cities that you must spend 20 hours minimum or 40 hours max in the span of a week. The shared borders are simple. If you have red in your area, that means you can go into it. Sears Village and Catherby have a shared area. So if you're in 43, you can access the flax fields, and if you're in 19, you can use the farm allotment. Clue scrolls can be attempted by rolling 3 times for the number of the area. So if your clue requires you to search a crate in Falador, and you're in Port Sarim, you can roll the number 3 times to get Falador's number, which is 30. If you fail, you just drop the clue scroll. The rule on islands is that they can only be accessed if you're in the area where the boat is located. For example, the dig site area is number 15, which has access to Fossil Island, and Relica has access to 5 islands. Now, Karamja is not allowed, because even though it is an island and you can get there by boat, it's currently marked with a number. There's a huge amount of content there, and it would ruin the Port Sarim area as well as East Ardoin, if transportation was allowed. So the basic rule is don't travel by boat, tree, or glider if your destination has a number. Minigames are an exception. So pause. I decided that the only quest I would complete before we start is the Rune Mysteries quest. I really wouldn't want to be restricted from that resource. I think it adds a lot to the challenge, and it would be pointless to be stuck in Varrock without the ability to grind out 10 hours of mining. Alright, continue. This is the site I use, and it uses atmospheric noise, which is good enough for me. I know it says 1 to 48, but this was recorded before I added 49 and 50, so my bad. First number is 39, which happens to be Jad, and I definitely can't start my account by killing him. These are the requirements: 80 combat, 75 range, 60 prayers, 70 health, but those are just like roundabout numbers that I tried to look up and, just to have something put down. Next number, 35. Ooh, Port Sarim, Remington. Actually a really good beginner area. When I first got to the area, I wanted to figure out what I could potentially do for a week. I started walking around checking out the shops to see what I could buy. I checked out what item spawns there were and what monsters I could kill. I spent the first 45 minutes just getting familiar with the area. I did find a bronze bolt, which 100k to the first person who can tell me where I found it. It's such a random item to put somewhere. Just go and look. This area had a farm shop, food shop, crafting, general store, battle axe shop, which I'll get back to, ranged, magic, jewelry, and fishing shop. So I really had no idea where to start. I was basically just trying to get beginner levels, killing cows or chickens. I wanted to stock up on items just in case I needed them for my next area. Quick side note, the rule on banking is that you can use the closest bank to your given area. Is it going to ruin the challenge? I don't think so. It might be faster XP per hour in some areas, but when it comes down to it, I'm going to be keeping everything balanced. And I know I made this challenge to be grindy, but I didn't make it so you had to walk from, let's say, this mining spot to the bank in Rogue's Den, instead of going east and using the Falador bank. However, you can't grab any items or kill anything that is on your way to that bank. So my main goal for this area was to obtain the Adamant Battle Axe from Brian in Port Sarim, and it's really expensive. Even the Steel Battle Axe was a lot. I had no way of making money, and I wasn't sure how to start. The drop table for hobgoblins has a steel longsword, but without money to buy runes, I couldn't exactly kill them. I had no idea how I was going to make all that money. I just figured I would pickpocket men all the way up to 4K, but when I did my walk around the area, I didn't see any men, so I figured I would have to find another way. But it felt like I kept getting sidetracked because I wanted to train different skills or get food for combat. I thought maybe I could fletch or craft items and sell them to the general store, but lucky for me, I found this beautiful man by the south walls of Falador, which I really was very, very happy about. I walked the entirety of this area and finally found an NPC I could pickpocket. I would thieve until my food ran out, and I would go murder some cows and repeat the process. I switched over to fishing as my food source because it was just easier. I did this for several trips, which ended up getting me 18 thieving. The quiz show random is the best thing in this game because that 1K was so helpful. I ended up face-bombing because after all the searching I did in locating a man to pickpocket, that I realized there's 3 NPCs who you can steal from right above the fishing shop. But this spot was a lot better. It was a shorter distance between the fish and where you could also trap the NPCs in 3 different areas. So after hours of this process pickpocketing, and I'm not kidding, it was hours, it ended up getting me some nice levels in around 3K, but I felt like I needed to change it up. That's when I decided I would start training ranged. I used up my first 25 bronze arrows at chickens, and I wanted more, so I went to the range shop, and the lowest arrow they sell is the steel arrow, which I can't use. So I started picking up the spawned arrows and hopping worlds. Yeah, I got world hop logged, and I decided to just try and kill other things like a hobgoblin, which was very unsuccessful, and also those elemental mages, which didn't work out either, because they just drained half of my food for 1 kill, and there was pointless drops, so I went back to the cows. Once I ran out of arrows, I didn't want to stop. I realized I actually had all of the resources and tools in the area to make them. My process was to grab a pickaxe from the house near the water fountain, mine a full inventory of tin and copper, drop the pickaxe so that I could travel to Intrana, smelt the bars, travel back to Port Sarim, pickpocket a woman, use those coins to buy a hammer from the general store, and then walk south to my boy Thurgo and use the anvil there. It was a long process, but it was actually a lot of fun. That's why I like this game so much. You can train however you want. I got my smithing up with random items the first trip so that I could get to level 5 so I could have bronze arrow tips. And I did that probably for 6 or 7 trips, getting around 1,000. The next thing to do was fletch the arrow shafts and kill the chicken so that I could create the arrows. Simple, right? But wait, the general store doesn't sell knives. I don't know how I didn't think of that, but they don't sell them. Maybe I'm so used to having all the tools you need for basic skills in general stores, but I was heartbroken because I literally did such a long process to be cut short by a knife, pun intended. So in desperation, I checked the wiki to see if imps drop them, and they don't. So I looked at where knives spawn, and Lumbridge was the closest area which I don't have access to. But I just kept searching the wiki, and I realized that there's a charter ship, and they do sell knives. It sounds stupid, but I was really, really happy. So the grind continues. I made up 1,000 arrow shafts, and instead of buying the feathers from the fishing shop, I decided to kill chickens to get range levels while getting feathers at the same time. But as soon as I made all the bronze arrows, I was pretty burnt out from training, and I really wanted to do something AFK, like fishing, so I could watch YouTube or a show or whatever, and I ended up buying a bunch of feathers. But there's no fly fishing in Remington, because I went to Intrana. These clips are all pretty much the same. It's a lot of fishing levels and cooking levels. I only banked a small amount of fish because I ended up dropping most of them. I really wanted to just watch shows and get levels. Plus, if I wanted food, I was just going to have to plan on fishing lobsters whenever I get the chance. So then I decided to get my wood cutting and fletching up. This ended up being my best moneymaker by far. I wish I did this sooner, but I'm also really happy about all the thieving levels I got. I was really confused on what to do when I got this clue, because when I made the rules for clue scrolls, I didn't account for items. I figured I would just have to go somewhere and dig or talk to someone. I guess in the future I'm just going to have to drop these if I don't have the items banked. Also, the random events were really nice. When you're stuck in an area and you get death runes or gems, it's pretty sweet. I just kept fletching arrows and selling to the general store by selling 5 at a time and hopping, and the GPs just came flying in. The bows eventually turned into oak shields, and those sold for 32 each at their starting price. There's not much more to say about it, but I just kept going until I had about 6k. I only had a few days left, so I started thinking about closing out and what I wanted to do in the area, because I wouldn't really be able to come back for I don't know how long. So you'll see me doing random clips of me buying things and just trying to stock up, just in case I would need anything in the future. I ended up getting the black and mithril battle axe, but not having enough for the adamant, so I went back to fletching, and once I had enough, I completed my goal by finally getting the adamant battle axe. I still had a few days left here, so I went back to making money. You've seen the clips already, and I don't want to just keep showing you the same thing, so 40 woodcutting, 36 fletching, and 7.5k. So now I have money to load up on runes and more feathers. So at this point, I have about 10 hours to go, and after collecting all those items, I decided to go back to fishing since it felt like an efficient thing to do. I ended up getting a medium clue, which told me I had to talk to Party Pete in Falador. So I went to my number generator, and Falador's number is 30. I got 24, 40, and 36. I don't know why I didn't drop it, but I will when I log back in. I completed my Lederhosen set, which was pretty funny. I really didn't expect to do that so soon. To end my week, I used the weapons on cows to start gathering as much cowhide as I could. I would fill up my inventory and run south to use the bank deposit box near the monks. I ended up getting 30 in attack, strength, defense, and hit points. You don't need to see the whole process, but it probably took 6 hours to do it. I banked about 700 cowhides, 3,000 coins, all the tools I could get my hands on, some vials, seeds, lots of food from shops, all the runes I could afford plus some for mazes, the 1k bronze arrows I made, and other items like gems from random events. I totally forgot to visit pest control, which ended up having an anvil and I think would have saved me a lot of time, plus a bank that was close to a general store and the charter ship store, which as most of you know have a lot of goodies to be purchased. I milked some cows and made some pats of butter, which in the future can make some really good food. And my final task was collecting some snape grass. Seeing as there's only a few ways to get it, I kinda wish I got a lot more. Oh, and is there anyone out there who knows why somebody would drop a glory? Hmm, 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 hmm. This is the final playtime, and it's about 38 hours. I started this series a few months ago, and when I tried to edit it in Sony Vegas, it would crash. My computer wasn't so good. I wouldn't save for 20 minutes and would have to redo everything. It was really annoying. That happened a bunch, and I got fed up with it, so I decided to save up for a new computer, and now I have everything I need. So please let me know what you thought, and give me some crappy tasks for when I get a community pick. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to see when episode 2 comes out. Thanks.